Hi everyone, welcome to another crochet tutorial with me, Laura, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to make these teeny tiny pumpkins. They really are small. So for this project you're just going to need some orange yarn and some green or brown yarn, and this is like a 4-ply weight yarn, so this is the one that's slightly smaller than a DK, a light worsted weight, so sort of yarn weight of 2. With that I'm using a 3mm crochet hook, but you can use any yarn that you like. Obviously if you use a thicker yarn you'll get a bigger pumpkin and vice versa, so it's entirely up to you. But we're going to start off with the orange yarn to begin, and the first thing we're going to do is a little slip knot, and you can work these stitches into a magic circle if you prefer, but we're going to do the chain 4 method for beginners. So we're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4. We're going to put our hook into our first chain, bring the yarn through, straight through the loop on your hook to form a little loop, and in there we are going to work 8 single crochets. So this pattern's in US terminology. In UK terminology that's a double crochet. We're just going to start off with a little chain 1 for leverage, don't count that as a stitch. So then into the middle, not to confuse it with the chain 1 that you slip stitched into, you don't want to go into that, go into the centre, bring the yarn through, then just wrapping it around, we're going to do a single crochet, and we want 8 of those, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and one more, 8, and then we're going to slip stitch into our first single crochet, so 2, 4, 6, 8, slip stitch into there. And you can work continuously if you want to, it's just that I prefer to join the rounds so I don't have to remember where I am. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do a little chain 1, don't count that as a stitch, and starting in the same stitch you just slip stitched into, we're going to do 2 single crochet in each stitch around. So we do 2 single crochet in there, and then we're going to do 2 single crochet in each stitch around, so we're going to have a stitch count of 16. 1 and 2. Let's repeat that all the way around. Okay, just coming up to the last stitch, 2 single crochet in there as well. And once you've got a stitch count of 16, we're going to slip stitch into our first single crochet. So don't work into this stitch here, that's what I call the fake stitch, that's your previous slip stitch. So find that first single crochet and we're going to slip stitch into there. Okay, I'll do it a bit neater than I have. Then what we're going to do is we're going to do a little chain 1 and we're going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch around, keeping a stitch count of 16. We're going to do that for 4 rounds. So go back into that stitch you just slip stitched into, do 1 single crochet and do 1 single crochet, tail end out the way, 1 single crochet in each stitch around, keeping a stitch count of 16. And we're going to do that for 4 rounds. Okay, 4 rounds. And then after 4 rounds, we're just going to slip stitch to join, like all the other rounds. First single crochet, and hopefully you've got something that looks like this, like a tiny little beanie. Now what we're going to do is we're going to single crochet 2 stitches together. So I'm going to start with a little chain 1, and I'm going to do the invisible decrease. So to do that, instead, normally we go under 2 loops, if my camera wants to focus, but for this invisible decrease we're just going to go under the front loop, then we're going to go straight under the next front loop of the next stitch. So you're under 2 front loops, then we bring the yarn under both of those, then we yarn over and do a single crochet, and that single crochet is 2 stitches together, but it's a lot less bumpy. So for small projects this is really good, and we're going to do that all the way around. So single crochet 2 stitches together, until you get to the end and your stitch count has gone back down to 8. Okay, so by the end of that round we should have a much smaller hole, and what we're going to do is we're going to cut our yarn, but we're going to leave quite a bit for sewing because we're going to create the shape of the pumpkin with that. So I'm just going to bring that through, then taking some blunt scissors, we're just going to open it up and we're going to stuff it. So just take some toy stuffing or some yarn scraps of a similar colour and stuff your tiny little pumpkin. Okay, so once you're finished stuffing, you should have a tiny little ball, which could even be like a bead, which is quite cute. Then we're going to take our yarn needle, thread that on, and we're going to draw strings sew closed the remaining hole to begin with. And to do that, we're just going to go in the next stitch and out through the next stitch. And do that all the way around. And then just pulling gently brings in the hole. Then we're just going to come up through the middle. So yarn's in the middle. Okay, and then we're going to use this tail end to shape the pumpkin. And to do that, all we're going to do is we're going to wrap the yarn around the edge and go sew in through the bottom and then come up through the top again. So the yarn catches on the outside. Then we're going to pull that tightly. So it's good to use a cotton yarn for this so it doesn't break. And then we're going to do that about 5 times in various places around the pumpkin. So do it again. Then one more time. And then we'll finish up on the bottom. Okay. Then we can just trim down the yarn. And we've got our tiny little pumpkin. All that's left to do now is just a little bit on the top here. So we're going to grab our green yarn. Okay, so taking your green yarn, we're going to start off with a little slip knot. Then we're just going to chain 4. Just chain 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then in your second chain from your hook, so we don't count the loop on our hook, it's our first chain, there's our second. In there we're going to do 2 single crochet. So we do 1 and another one. I'm going to do 2 single crochet in the other 2 chains as well. So in the next chain, do 2 single crochet. Then 2 single crochet in the last chain. Okay, so it creates this little curved shape. Then we're going to cut our yarn, leave a little bit for sewing, pull that through, then taking your yarn needle, so we're going to then sew into the first stitch that we made. And it's going to create this little tiny circle that we've got here. And turning that over, we're going to sew up to the middle underneath. Okay, and then we're going to sew that onto the top of our tiny little pumpkin here. So again, just go through the middle. Then we're going to take the other tail end and do the same thing. Okay, like that. And then you can either secure these or you can tie them, but I'm just going to cut these down for the sake of this video and show you the finished little pumpkin. And there we go. There's our cute tiny little pumpkin to go with our other tiny little pumpkins. So I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. I hope it's inspired you to try some little pumpkin patterns, and I will see you soon for some more crochet fun. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.